Hi everybody, this is Tina with Itsy Photography. Today I'm working in my studio trying to get it ready. It's a new space, so we painted the walls, added some new furniture, and then I ran into a little problem where I needed some picture frames for my walls. I was able to find pretty cheap frames like at Walmart that I refinished, and also the Dollar Tree, that I refinished with chalk paint. And then I said, well, I need bigger ones. You need big frames for your studio space. So I didn't want to spend tons of money because I don't have tons of money for that. And my friend Drew from Drew Danielle Design gave me the idea to go to like Goodwill or Salvation Army, any consignment shops, and check what kinds of pictures that they had for sale or picture frames that they had for sale and refinish those. So today I'm working on that project. I've already done about 6 frames, and I'll try to walk you through the steps I'm taking to refinish those frames. The frames I actually got are really big, really awesome. They're solid wood, most of them. They all have glass instead of plastic for the screening part. And they have great hangers, very strong, very sturdy frames, and I got them for $3, $4, $5, and I think the most I paid for my largest frame was $6. So it's a great tip for people who are trying to put some nice frames on their wall but don't have the hundreds of dollars or even tens of dollars to spend on their frame. So I'll walk you through that process now. So I'm going to take a flathead screwdriver. This is a very small one. My hands tend to be small, so the smaller the better for this. Plus I can kind of get in there close. And I'm just going to put the screwdriver right under the staple and lift it. And I'm going to do that all the way around. Okay, now that all the staples are up, we can go ahead and just pull that backing right off. Comes off pretty easily. Sometimes it might get stuck a little bit. And that takes the backing off, and then you can take your actual picture out. And what will be under is the glass. So you just want to remove the glass too if you're able to, and put that aside. Okay, so now we've left our glass out on the side to rest. We took the backing off as well. We're just left with the frame only, and of course the wire that is attached to the frame in order to hang it with. And you're just going to lay it on a drop cloth because now comes the painting part and it could get messy. So put it on a drop cloth. I'm doing it on the floor. You could do it on a table if you wanted to. That would be even more comfortable. And what I'm using today is Rust-Oleum's version of chalk paint. I've been using it for all of my frames and they've been coming out really great. So I do recommend this product. And then I'm just using like a flat brush. Pretty much any kind of brush would do. You can use large, small, whatever works for you. Make sure you mix your paint. This paint does tend to dry really quickly, so throughout the process I've been adding just a little bit of water here and there to the paint and mixing it in to keep it at the consistency that I like to paint with. And also your paintbrush, you're going to notice, will start drying too if you're doing a lot of these or working for a long period of time. So you may also, I just have like a bowl of water or a cup of water, and I dip it in there every once in a while just to kind of re-wet the paintbrush and make it easier to use. This is how the frame will look after one coat. So as you can see, you can still see through that coat pretty well. You can see over to the gold. So you clearly need more coats than this if you're looking for a more solid finish, a solid white or whatever color you're using. Now the neat thing about chalk paint is that if you decide to do the antiquing and rubbing off some of the color that you're painting on, the color that's underneath your frame is the color that will show through. So if you wanted to maybe have a different color that shows through, whether it be maybe blue or red or black or silver or something like that, the first step would actually be to paint your frame that color. Not with chalk paint, but just with like a regular paint. So you could use an acrylic, you could use, I would probably, if I were doing that, I would probably just use a spray paint. It's super quick, super easy, and it'll stay on there. And then you would paint over that color with your chalk paint and do these steps that we're doing now. And when you go to sand off or wipe off the chalk paint to kind of give it that antiqued look, the color that will show through will be the color that is underneath. So whatever color you had chosen to paint your frame first. For this frame, it started out gold. I'm fine with gold being underneath, so when we do the antiquing part, It's the gold that is going to show through. So again, this is your first coat. I'm going to be going through and doing 2 more coats to make sure that this is completely covered with white. Okay, this is after 2 coats. You can still see through a little bit. So I'm going to actually do another one. It's kind of glassy right now because it's still wet. Chalk paint does dry really quick though. I usually don't even need to give each layer 20 minutes to dry before I paint on the next one. Thinner coats are definitely better than thicker coats. It's just going to look better, dry quicker. And so that's after coat 2. We'll give it at least 1 more coat. Okay, so it took about 3 coats to get my frame to be all white, solid white. And there may be just a couple little spots here and there, and you can just touch those up. You don't have to paint the whole frame again another layer. You can just touch up the areas that maybe need it. And your next step, if you want to, well, you can just hang it this way if you just want this clean white look. Or I'm going to be antiquing my frame today. So there's 2 things you could do for antiquing. You could use either like sandpaper, or I love these sponge sanding blocks. These are really awesome. You could use those to kind of scratch away the white, or you could use like a wet paper towel or a wet rag. Well, I shouldn't say wet, maybe damp would be a better description of how it should be. You don't want it dripping onto your paint because then it'll just look runny and weird. But like a damp rag or a damp cloth of some sort. If you decide to do the damp cloth method, you're just going to kind of wipe away very gently the areas that you want to pull the white off. And if you sand it like I'm going to start with, you're just going to be very lightly sanding the areas that you want to kind of remove the white. So I'm just going to go very lightly. It works good if you go in like the direction of the wood and the direction of the line. See how it's just kind of scratching off in the areas that I rubbed on. If you'd like it kind of in a more solid area like this, make sure you're actually putting pressure on that area, because the tendency will be for whatever you're using to wipe it off to wipe off the area that is raised the most. So if you're trying to get an area like this that's kind of sunk in, make sure you're putting the pressure there. Kind of tilt the block a little bit if you need to. And it's going to kind of come off as if you're doing, if you're rubbing off joint compound, if you ever have put a wall up or taped a wall, something like that, and you put the joint compound, it kind of comes off like that. It's kind of like a powdery, you can see it there. It comes off like a powder. So when you get the way you like it, just kind of rub that off, and then keep cleaning it. You can keep changing it. If you notice that you've taken too much off, you can always go back with your paint and touch up that area. This paint is just so forgiving. It's so great to use because it's very versatile. You can do a lot of things with it, and you can always add it back on. Other paints, like if you tried to wash it away with water, it wouldn't do that, and this one's quite different, and I'll show you that also, that technique. But this is basically the sanding method, and just do it until you get the look that you want. And again, if you take off too much in one area, you can always go back and paint over that area, and then redo it or just leave it. I love doing these flat surfaces though, because it does tend to give a really nice worn look. I don't know how well you can see that, but just get a little bit more, and it kind of adds some character to the piece. So you just do that to your taste, and just keep going until you get it the way you like it. And that's basically the sanding method. And next I'll show you how you would do it with a damp cloth. Okay, so I've gone ahead and I actually just took a paper towel. I kind of wrapped it up in such a way that it kind of created not a point, but an area that I'm going to be using, and just dampened that area. It's just damp. It's not wet. It's not dripping. None of that. And actually, the bottom's even dry. So you're just going to kind of put it on your finger so that you have more control of the area that you're going to be removing it. And you're just going to wipe it wherever you'd like to remove some of the paint. This will take a few strokes because you did paint several layers, and so the paint has to come off of each of those layers. And as you can see, it's already starting to come up and have like an antique to look, a weathered look. Just do that wherever you'd like to see that kind of effect. You can go light, or make sure you have like a consistent pressure so that it doesn't look too harsh. And wherever you have more paint, it's going to take longer to take it off. You can just keep going. And so this is how you would create that kind of look using the damp rag. So go around your whole picture frame, give it the look that you want, apply as much of the antiquing style as you'd like or as little as you'd like. So my next step after I've sanded it and wiped off all of the excess powder from the paint is I'm going to actually have to wax my frame. What this is going to do is seal in the paint and make it, it gives it like a coating on top of it just to keep it protected, makes it so that you can kind of clean your frame after without worrying about the paint coming off. So what I'll be using, I bought this at Home Depot, is this product here, Americana Decor Cream Wax. And it comes in clear, and I don't know if they offer it in different colors, but this is the color that I chose for this, and you can use it for pretty much any project. It just adds a clear coat on top. It is not glossy or anything like that, so it's not going to change the look of your frame. It's just going to add a protective layer. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put just one coat of that paint on top using a different paintbrush. I'm just going to use this one. I have not used this for any painting. The wax and the chalk paint do not go well together. They're not, you shouldn't be using the same brush for both. So have a paintbrush that's designated for your painting and have a separate one that's designated for your waxing. So that's what I'll be doing next. Just a very thin coat is all you need. And make sure you cover the whole surface. Okay, once you've finished your waxing, just let it dry. Probably 10 to 20 minutes should be enough. Then you can pop your glass back in next, your picture, and then your backing. And then fold the staples back the way they were originally, and that will hold your piece together. I don't have a picture to put in this one yet, so I'm not going to be doing that step. But I can show you what the finished product looks like with some other ones I did that are smaller. These frames I actually just purchased at the Dollar Tree. They came in 8x10s, 5x7s, 4x6s. They were just very basic frames, nothing fancy. Again, I didn't have a lot of money to spend, but I did know what kind of look I was looking for. So I just went ahead and bought these and did that process, and as you can see, they look pretty cool. They don't look like dollar store frames, well, at least not to me they don't. And you can finish them however you like. So try this look at home, try this effect. Maybe you have an old frame kicking around that you didn't know what to do with, and you know, it's kind of outdated, just kind of sitting around. I had one of those. This is one of them. This one's a 16x20, and it was a brown color, and I went ahead and did this effect on it, and now it looks like a really cute antiqued white frame. So I hope you enjoyed this, and good luck creating.